Hey, what is going on, everyone? Well, I'm so glad you have took your time to spend with me right here today. I am your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike McRock Wilson, and last night was NXT from the Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The show kicked off last night with a semi-final tournament match to determine who will be the first ever NXT Women's Championship. It was Summer Rae versus Emma. And even though this wasn't, one of the best, women's wrestling matches on NXT, I like the way that the end result was set up. Emma upsetted Summer Rae and got the victory. And shortly after, Summer Rae, attacks Emma for the loss. She suffered the loss, of course, right? And then Paige comes out and saves the day for Emma, and attacks Summer Rae, her old former rival. And so I like this interesting setup with Paige and Emma. Those two will be competing for the first ever NXT Women's Championship next week on either next week or the week after. I'm not sure yet on NXT, and I'm interested to see where this is going. Not only with that match, but within the Divas division as well. I think this might be the write-off match for Summer Rae. Just to leave her on Raw with as Fandango's dancer. I mean, makes sense, if that, for that to happen. So with that said, they would have to have, that villain as a diva. I think what could happen for this final match is that Emma upsets Paige. This will tick Paige off and attack Emma and turning it into some sort of heel character, which would be really, really interesting, because right now I'm really 50-50 split with, who would, be the first ever NXT Women's Champ, because both of these divas, really resonate with the NXT fans. And I won't say universe because, that's a little cliche term. I'll say NXT fans just for the sake of it. You know who is watching. You know what I'm talking about. And so with that said, I think I see Emma actually upsetting Paige. But yet, I wouldn't be surprised if Paige did win, because, like I said before, both of these divas just goes over with the NXT crowd. So I'm 50-50 split, but I'm still leaning towards Emma for this match. Also last night, in a backstage segment with the Commissioner Dusty Rhodes with Bayley, and look who walks into the room, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, and his daughter, Charlotte Flair. And this is now going to set up a match. It will be Bayley versus Charlotte Flair. The only thing I have the issue with Charlotte Flair is that I don't know if she'll separate herself from Ric Flair. They could go the dirty diva heel route, perhaps. She is new right now, so they could do that turn. So I'm interested to see, how this is going to play out on, I think, probably next week's episode of NXT. Also last night, Sami Zayn goes one-on-one, going one-on-one with Leo Kruger. Ole, 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 ole. That chant will never get old. So I like those little things like that. I like when the fans do these weird chants, especially the Ole chants. So that was pretty cool. This match, win-win situation for both guys. Sami Zayn, again, another match which just goes to prove he could take the punishment. No matter how much you punish this guy, how much the opponent punishes this guy, taking the bumps, oh man, it's just brutal. And with that being said, I see this guy going far on NXT. I could see him becoming a future NXT champion, which I will get to in just a little bit. As well as Leo Kruger, he was pretty well consistent throughout that match, going for the injured shoulder and all, etc., etc. Looking good as always, and really taking the heat in from the fans as well. And the commissioner, Dusty Rhodes, pointed out that there's no legitimate number one contender. Even though some of these guys are gunning for Bo Dallas, like Leo Kruger, like Antonio Cesaro, and now they're going to put Sami Zayn in the mix for a triple threat match, that's a smart thing to do because we will have a legitimate number one contender after that match. Whoever wins, I'm all for anyone winning, actually. I don't mind Antonio Cesaro winning. I would love to see that match again with him and Bo Dallas. Leo Kruger, the build up towards Bo Dallas and Leo Kruger, looks like that Leo Kruger will be the favorite going into that match because of that reason. And Sami Zayn is kind of like the wild card in that match. He would be the guy you would kind of say, if he wins, this will be interesting because if he were to be exerted into an NXT Championship match, he would have to win. Because if he doesn't win that match, he loses all momentum. His debut was all for nothing. So, NXT, be very careful who you decide to be the number one contender. That's all I have to say about that. Also last night, Enzo... Sorry, I got a bit of a cough here. Also last night, Mason Ryan in a 2-on-1 handicap match faced Enzo Amore and his partner Colin Cassidy. And I like this dynamic between these two. The big guy and the small guy. And the small guy is really, really annoying. And you got this, bodyguard in Colin Cassidy. Well, he's kind of playing that role as a bodyguard for this Enzo Amore character. He is really off. And sometimes off is good. And so, well, with that said, the way Enzo and Colin Cassidy won was just excellent. And I see this, this is not over. This is going to turn out to be a nice rivalry with, a good payoff for Mason Ryan, probably. So I like to see where this is going now for week to week. And the main event was the Wyatt family versus Adrian Neville, Corey Graves, and William Regal. What I really liked about that match was that a lot of weird things were happening, within that match, with not Leo Kruger, but the other guy, applying that Boston Crab, with his face planted, with his opponent's face planted on the mat, with his foot. It was so weird. It was so different. And that just goes to prove how different that the Wyatt family are. And next week on NXT, there's going to be an NXT Championship match. Oh, but before I get to that, the Wyatt family defeated Adrian Neville, Corey Graves, and William Regal. It was Bray Wyatt that pinned William Regal following his finisher, Sister Abigail, he likes to call it. I'd like to see him apply this move on Monday Night Raw and hopefully SmackDown if he will show up on SmackDown tomorrow night. And, well, actually tonight, because I'm doing this video, this is Friday. And I keep going off topic here. But the Wyatt family won, and next week there's going to be an NXT Championship match for the tag team titles. It'll be the Wyatt family and they'll be facing Corey Graves and Adrian Neville. I think this will be the write-off for the Wyatt family because their debut on Raw was excellent. Keep it going. Write them off on NXT now that they've moved on. So with that being said, Adrian Neville, Corey Graves will probably be the new NXT champions come next week. And that was my review for NXT. I'm your co-host for the MRB Wrestling Review Show, Mike Big Rock Wilson. Get plenty of rest, and always do your best.